Hey guys, it's Rhett from the 100 Acre Wood Highlands. I get a lot of questions from new people that are into hobby farming or homesteading or just getting into cattle for the first time, that I've got questions about what kind of equipment do I need to have to get started, whether it's trucks or tractors or trailers or barns or whatever it could be. And so today I'm going to talk a little bit about the 4 pieces of equipment on our farm that I use the most often. If you haven't already subscribed, please consider doing so. Let's check it out. So when people first get into hobby farming or homesteading, or maybe they're getting their first kind of livestock, there's a big, huge list of things that you could possibly want on your farm. And some of those are needs, like you gotta have a good fence to keep those animals in. Some of those things are wants that you could probably get by without. And so I get a lot of questions through Facebook and in the comments of YouTube, and people just reaching out to me directly. You know, what does stuff cost? What do I have to have? What can I get by without? And so I'm gonna share a little bit about what I use the most, talk a little bit about what I use it for, and whether or not I think that it could be done without for a while. So getting all the equipment and just getting started can be a little bit overwhelming. And one of the most common things that I would suggest that you probably want to have if you're going to get into livestock, whether it's Highland cattle like this one right here, number 26, Rosie, or you're going to have, you know, goats or pigs or something else, is you need some sort of way to transport it. So this is our stock trailer. This stock trailer is, I believe, 14 foot long. We bought it used, found it on Facebook Marketplace a few years ago, and it's something that I use to go get brand new cattle that I've just purchased. It's what I would use to go take a calf that I've sold to some other farm. I've used it a lot this year on just catching a cow or a calf and taking it to the vet, and so it's something I use pretty frequently. And there's all different kind of styles of trailers. You know, you could get the big gooseneck that would definitely haul a lot more cattle, but it's, you know, it's going to take a more specialized equipment, a bigger vehicle. But this bumper pull that I use works great for me. So it's a dual axle. It's got a door up front where you can kind of access the cows that are inside. I've kind of got a lot of straw on the bed of this trailer right now because I had that little calf that I was transporting around and it needed a place to lay down. This trailer has got a big door in the back that can open up all the way. Now, if you're letting the cow out of it, pull this pin, you can open this handle, big door swings open if you're letting the cows loose. And it's also got a sliding door on it right here if you just want to open part of the trailer. What we do is when a cow is loaded in, we try to get them up to the front, pull this handle here, and we can swing this shut to keep them separated up front. So if you watch the videos where I was taking the calf to the vet, we'd keep the mama up in the front half, keep the calf in the back, that way we can unload it, keep the mama in there, but if I had to leave the calf overnight or something, I could still unload that mom. Also, it helps like distribute the weight more evenly throughout the trailer when you're hauling it. Now, do you have to have a stock trailer if you're just getting into cows? Do you really, really need to spend the money? Because I bought this used, I think, for $3,000. And you could maybe find some trailers for less money, and the sky's kind of the limit on, you could spend a ton of money on a trailer. My opinion of this is, if you're just getting your first couple of cows, you could pay a little bit of money from whoever you're buying it from to have them deliver it. And if everything goes great and you don't have to, haul any to the vet a whole bunch of times, you could probably get by for a little while without one. Even if you were going to have to go pick up a cow for the first time, you could borrow someone's trailer. Vets sometimes make house calls. The challenge to that is you got to make sure your vet does that first. It might take a little bit longer for the vet to fit you in, and it's probably a lot more expensive than if you take the cow there yourself. So it may not be the very top of the list to have it first, but if you're going to have livestock and you're going to have very many, you're definitely going to want a way to transport them. So this is one of those things that you may not have to have it day one, but you definitely want to work towards getting it as quick as you can. The next trailer that we use actually quite a lot is a flatbed or a utility trailer. They can have rails on the side like this one. They may not have rails on the side. They may have ramps attached to the back. Our ramps are separate, but we use it for hauling equipment like the Ranger. I just got it out of the shop actually. Hauling the tractor to different places if it needs service work. We use it to haul hay, although there are specialized hay trailers and other ones without rails that probably be a little bit more efficient to hold some more. But we use it a lot. We even just used it to pull the first grade cheerleaders in the homecoming parade at school about a week ago, and that's why it's got a fresh coat of red paint on it here, is to look nice and pretty. Now this trailer, again, was something I bought used several years ago for about $1,000. And when I bought it used, it needed some tender loving care. The tires were pretty wore out. It needed a lot of boards replaced. The lights didn't work. And so I put some more money into it, but it's one of those things that we get a lot of use out of. And again, it's one of those things where you maybe don't necessarily have to have it. You can have hay delivered. If you don't have a tractor or a trailer or other equipment that you're trying to move around, you don't necessarily have to have a trailer. We use it for other things like hauling tree limbs that have broken or that we've cut and cleaned up out to the brush pile. But it's a really versatile tool that we use a bunch. Could you get by without it? Sure, but it's probably a lot handier if you did have at least something to haul around your other equipment and hay for your animals. And one of the most versatile and more used pieces of equipment that I've got on the farm is our tractor. This is a John Deere 4120. I believe it's a 42 or 43 horsepower. It's not the smallest tractor that they make, but there are definitely a lot bigger and more expensive tractors than this. But this thing gets a lot of use. The things that I do most frequently with this tractor would be brush hog in the summer, and I've got about I think it's a 6-foot brush hog that's on this thing. We use it to till up the garden space. This year I used it to plant wheat. I've used it to box blade the driveways and some dirt areas that I needed to level out. We use it to haul hay. Move hay from like the barn to feeding it out to the animals. Not really like haul at distance, but to move hay. We use it to dig with the front end loader. I've used it to clean up brush. So it's a really versatile tool. A couple of things I wish I had. If it was a little bit bigger tractor, I could cut, rake, and bale my own hay if we ever wanted to do that. When it's hot in the summertime, or when it's really cold in the wintertime, I wish I had a cab. But a tractor is one of those things on the farm that's probably going to be your most expensive item. When I first got this tractor, I got it because the tractor we had before was a really old International Harvester. It didn't have a front end loader or anything like that, and it never worked. Every single time I wanted to use it, it was like we had to jump it and roll it down a hill and send it to the mechanic for a week so that I could use it one time. And so I wanted a tractor that I could turn the key and it would start every time and I could use it. And one of the realities of having a farm, a hobby farm, is that you're going to break equipment, it's going to break down, it's going to need service work, but I wanted a good tractor. And that means it was expensive. At the time I bought this, even though it was used, it cost more money than the vehicle I drove at that time. And so it's one of those, if you don't have a big, huge farm and a lot of stuff that you absolutely have to have it for, it'd save you a ton of money if you don't get a tractor. But we use it a bunch, and I love it that I can come out, get in it, and it starts up every time. I haven't ever had an issue, but I take it in to get service work done, and I think it's about 9 years old now. I think this is a 2011 model, but definitely a super useful tool on the farm for the different amount of implements that you can attach to it, that you'll get a lot of work done with the tractor. The last thing on my list is probably the most, well, let's say the least needed item. You could get by without this, but for me, it is the most frequently used piece of equipment on our farm, and that's our Ranger. And we looked at the John Deere Gators, I looked at the models that Tractor Supply and Bass Pro carried, and I ended up going with the Polaris Ranger, the kind of the one that has 2 rows of seating, because we got the kids on the farm and they like to ride around and stuff, and I went with the 570 model. So there's bigger, more expensive, faster, better hauling capacity, better dump bed capacity Rangers out there, but this is something that I use nearly every single day on the ranch. I use it to go check the cows, I use it to feed the cows, I use it to lead the cows from the field into the corral system when I need to catch them to take them to the vet or whatever I'm doing or working the cows. We use it to spray some fields where we had some really bad weeds this year. But I just got this back from the shop, and I didn't have it for about a week, and it really made me realize how much I use this thing to get around on the farm. Now, if you've just got a small acreage where your cows are kind of on maybe a 10-acre field and you don't really have to like go look for them and lead them around, you can definitely get by without having this added expense. But for us, this thing is a super, super handy piece of equipment to have on our ranch. All right, so there you have it. These are our 4 most used pieces of equipment on the farm. You might have different pieces of equipment that you use more frequently. You might say, well, Brett, you absolutely don't have to have a Ranger to have a farm. You're right. You absolutely don't have to have a trailer or a tractor to also have a farm too. This is just what I use. If you've got questions or comments, leave them down below. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram by searching 100 Acre Wood Highlands. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys on the next video.